happened over the weekend. Dana White says he's retired. You were the undisputed champion. How are you feeling a few days after?
I mean, to be honest, I would have rather fought for it, of course. I did defend the interim though, which is a weird thing as well. To be honest, I always saw myself as a champion anyway. I think the whole Jon Jones thing was a bit weird. I think everybody can see that was a bit of a strange situation. But luckily now that is in the past and we can...
The heat between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones just keeps getting hotter. It all blew up during a fiery Instagram live where Tom didn't hold back. He spoke directly to Jon, throwing shade and calling him out in front of thousands watching. What's crazy is they've never even fought. Their paths in the heavyweight division barely crossed. But lately, their rivalry is making more noise than ever, and with all the buzz about a possible UFC mega event at the White House, yeah, things are getting wild. This isn't some personal beef, it's what they represent. Tom, the fresh face and future of the heavyweight world. Jon, the legend, the name that carries more weight than any championship belt.
What a perfect time for Jon Jones to come out of retirement and fight Tom Aspinall at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. What is more patriotic, what is more American than the best UFC fighter of all time, Jon Jones, fighting for the championship belt at the White House on America's 250th birthday? It's beautiful, it's poetic.
Then out of nowhere, Donald Trump drops a bombshell. He wants to see a UFC octagon right on the White House lawn. For the country's 250th birthday in 2026, Dana White, he's all for it, said I love it. The UFC hasn't confirmed anything, but they're teasing that more info is coming soon. What started as a wild publicity stunt suddenly feels real, especially with Jon Jones showing interest and jumping back into the UFC's drug testing pool. He's not just thinking about it, he might actually be getting ready.
UFC White House is crazy, dude. How's that even a thing? Is that allowed? Like, how is Donald even allowed to do that? Be kind of gangster though. Chandler versus McGregor. Be kind of gangster. Aspinall. Jon Jones wants to fight on it. Classic. Back in the testing pool after 2 weeks. Bro is a troll and a half. He's not having his title back. They just can't be happening. All the ground trip was sick.
Jones, who walked away from the sport after beating Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, lit things up when he reacted to a fan-made image. The picture, it showed him beating Tom Aspinall right there at the White House with Trump looking on from the sidelines. Jones replied, I like this. Fans went nuts. They took it as a clear message. Jon's watching and he's thinking about stepping back into the cage. The calls came pouring in, people begging the UFC to make this fight happen. End your legacy by beating the Brit, they said. Remember, Jones and Trump go way back. He was at Trump's inauguration alongside fighters like Jorge Masvidal and Joe Rogan. And at UFC 309, Trump sat cageside chatting with Jones after his victory. It was all on camera.
I would even say this, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say that Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall so hard that he went through self-destructive measures just to avoid a fight with this man. That's how good Tom Aspinall is. And everyone you're going to list off is going to get beat.
Trump's been showing up at UFC events for years now. His relationship with Dana White and the UFC has been strategic. This speaks to his political base. If there's any president who could pull off a UFC fight at the White House, it's him. Dana White, who literally spoke at Trump's political conventions, is all about pushing the envelope. And honestly, the idea, it's not so crazy anymore.
As much as I love Tom and I want Tom to win, I couldn't pick against Jon Jones. I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones, as I say, since 2000.
But don't expect Jones to return overnight. USADA requires him to stay in the testing pool for 6 months before he's allowed to fight again. Since he re-entered in mid-2025, that puts him back in action around January 2026. Right on time for a summer showdown, maybe even on July 4th, a celebration of America with fists flying. In the meantime, Tom Aspinall wears the crown. He's the heavyweight champ now, official, undisputed, and waiting.
It's the legacy. To be able to go to the heavyweight division, take out everyone, and then take out the Jon Jones legend, you know, and then go back to even beating a few of these new school guys. will literally put Tom Aspinall as the GOAT of the heavyweight division.
Tom's rise was electric. He won the interim title in November 2023 with a vicious first-round knockout of Sergey Pavlovich. Everyone thought he'd face Jones next to unify the belt, but nope, that fight never happened. Jones chose a legacy bout with Miocic instead. He won, teased a few more big fights, then retired in early 2025. Just like that, the division was left in limbo. Tom was made the full champ, but not everyone accepted it. Some fans said his title reign wasn't complete without a win over Jon. Tom addressed it in an interview with Combat X. Calmly, honestly, "I don't feel like I'm in my prime yet," he said. "I'm 32. I've still got work to do." Maybe the delay helped him, gave him time to grow stronger.
Aspinall, and the gap between Tom and the rest of the division is pretty freaking wide.
Yeah, and it's almost like Jon has something against Tom Aspinall. Like he just wanted to completely ruin his life in every way possible, and he's doing a great job of it. And yeah, it puts Tom in a tough spot. Like you say, he's definitely the biggest loser of this whole thing. And yeah, it makes it difficult now for him to, like, where does he go?
While Tom stayed composed, the fans, the media, total chaos. First, Francis Ngannou left the UFC as champ, then Jones swooped in, grabbed the vacant belt. Tom rose up during that storm. Everyone thought, Jones vs. Aspinall, it has to happen. But it didn't, and that missed fight, it became a pressure point for both of them. They know it, everyone sees it, each man is being compared to the other constantly.
That would be beyond disappointing, actually, from a marketing standpoint, from a landscape of where the UFC is standpoint. That would be a complete pay-per-view disaster.
We'd see the strength of the UFC brand at Madison Square Garden if that ends up being, because all respect to Tom, but he has never headlined a pay-per-view, so plopping him at the top of Madison Square Garden against Ciryl Gane I think would be tough, but we'll see what they can do.
Man, that would be tough. I mean, you'd have to have the
fans shouldn't even have to make a petition to strip Jon Jones of the belt. That just shows you how dumb the UFC matchmaking is, especially when it comes to Jon Jones and all the way that the UFC operates around Jon Jones. The way that Jon Jones has Dana and the organization by the nuts is crazy.
No, you're not going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there and
even retired, Jones won't fade away. He's still part of every heavyweight debate. Tom, he's charging ahead. When he became full champ, he posted, "For you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division going." An active, undisputed champion, a not-so-subtle jab at Jones, who only fought once at heavyweight. The rest of his time? Injuries, talks, delays. Tom's set to defend his title later this year. Possible opponents? Ciryl Gane, Alexander Volkov. Good fight, but none of them have the hype that a Jones bout would bring. And with the White House idea floating around, every fight Tom takes now feels like a warm-up, a build-up to something bigger. But here's the big question. What kind of shape will Jones even be in? He'll have been out nearly 2 years by 2026. Sure, he won after long breaks before, but Tom's a different beast. He's younger, faster, hungry, and sharp. Jones' reputation, it's built on domination, not how often he fights. He's only fought 4 times since 2019. Tom, he's been running through guys, quick, clean, consistent. In the UK, fans love him. He's their best shot at a long-term heavyweight champ. An American legend versus a British warrior fighting on the White House lawn? That's global drama. The biggest fight the UFC could make. Dana White and the UFC know how big this is. This fight wouldn't just be for fans, it would make news worldwide. They would pull in politics, headlines, and even casual watchers. Jon Jones gives it history, Tom Aspinall gives it credibility. There's no other matchup like this on the UFC roster. Period. The UFC hasn't hosted an event in Washington, D.C. since 2019. A White House event? That would change everything. It would take government approval, political coordination, and serious planning. But with Trump involved and his close ties to Dana and Jon, it could actually happen. Trump's used the UFC as a platform before. If he's serious, and even if he's not in office, he'll push it as part of his 2026 campaign message. Then Marlon Cheeto Vera joined the conversation and gave his honest opinion. Is Jon Jones scared to fight Tom Aspinall? No, Vera said flat out. His reasoning? It wasn't about comparing skills or fighting styles, it was about legacy. In Vera's eyes, Jones has nothing left to prove. Vera said Jones already wrote his name in the history books. Youngest champion ever, reigned over the light heavyweight division for nearly a decade. So if he doesn't fight Tom, that's not going to ruin his legacy. He doesn't need to fight Aspinall, Vera repeated on the makeshift podcast. Age, seat, everything already. Youngest champ, won the belt, never lost it. Yeah, Jon's had issues outside the cage, but Vera pointed out nobody's perfect, and he believes Jon should walk away on his own terms. But not everyone agrees with that view. Leon Edwards, former welterweight champ, said straight up, if Jones fought Tom, he'd lose. His take shows how divided the MMA world is. Some say Jones is smart for leaving on top, others think he ran from a real challenge. And then there's Israel Adesanya. He doesn't buy the retirement story at all. On the Ariel Helwani show, Izzy said, I think he'll come back, it's the drama of it. He pointed at Jones's tweets, his posts, the way he keeps stoking the fire online, rage baiting he called it, and it's working. Jon's keeping everyone talking, without even fighting. Izzy also spoke on the bigger issue, the state of the heavyweight division. He gave Tom his flowers, Tom defended the belt. That's a defense in the books, he said. And that's the thing, while Jones is off the radar, Tom is working, planning 2 fights before the year ends. Potential opponents include Jazino Rosenstruik, Cyril Gane, and Alexander Volkov. They're not huge names like Jones, but they prove Aspinall's commitment to keeping the division alive. Even with all this talk, nobody really knows what Jones' thinking. But then, boom. Dana White drops a bombshell. At the UFC 316 post-fight press conference, Dana said Jon Jones had agreed to fight Tom Aspinall. Let that sink in. It was all set, but then Jon pulled back and retired. That single choice? It flipped everything. What could have been an epic rivalry turned into silence. And now, with Trump pushing for that White House event in 2026, the timing couldn't be more perfect for Jones to make a comeback. Dana didn't explain why Jones backed out, but the truth is, Jon has done this before. He's pulled out of big fights before, injuries, contracts, drama. With Anthony Johnson, with others, it's a pattern. But with Tom? It's different. This isn't just the next guy in line. Tom is young, dangerous, explosive, and fans believe he can really beat Jon. Some say if the fight ever does happen, Jon still wins. Why? Because Tom hasn't been pushed into deep waters yet. He hasn't gotten off the stool after round 3, one analyst said. Let Cyril Gane take him 25 minutes. Let's see what happens then. But Joe Rogan? He doesn't agree. Tom Aspinall is a star, Joe said on his podcast with Corey Sandhagen. People ask me about this fight more than any other. Even casual fans want to see it. Is Jon Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? That's the question Joe gets the most. And that kind of hype? It means something. Some say Jones is his own worst enemy, that he wasted parts of his prime, that Tom got lucky, Jon got in his own way. Joe just wants it to stop. I hope he's learned his lesson. No more drama, he said. Being Jon Jones, a star like that, it's got to be intense. The pressure is unreal. But Joe also shared what he thinks was the real missed fight. Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. Francis is the scariest heavyweight ever, Joe said. He flatlines people. He's terrifying. That fight could have been historic. But Francis left the UFC over contract issues. Now he's doing boxing, and Dana White has made it clear he's not bringing Francis back. And then there's the drama around Jon's supposed retirement timeline. He claimed he told everyone he was done back in November. Dana White flat out denied that. Believe who you want, Dana said. I'm telling you the truth. So where does that leave us? Right here. Tom Aspinall is active, under contract, the undisputed champ. Jon Jones is eligible to fight again by January 2026. The UFC has the belt, the story, the rivalry, and maybe even the White House. Everything is in place. Now we wait. Do you think this fight will finally happen? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned.